are finding so many neat things. This is a neat thing. I want to go to the Bahamas, but I'm not quite sure how to do it. I'm standing here with Mike Z, and he's going to answer some questions. Mike, this blue right here has me a little bit nervous. Explain to me, what am I going to have to do to get across all that water, to get it way over to the Bahamas?
This part right here? Okay, this is 50 miles right here. That's 60 miles.
That's nothing.
It's nothing. In fact, when you're flying across here, about the time that you can't see the land behind you anymore, you see the land in front of you. The island's starting to appear in front of you.
So we're talking about, in my Cherokee, maybe 25 minutes at the long part, I'm going to be feet dry. So that's okay, that's fine. All right, but now Bahamas is a different country, so I'm just a regular GA guy, so they're not going to allow me to come in as a GA guy, are they?
Oh yes, in fact, light sports and experimentals are allowed to fly their airplanes in the Bahamas now. Basically, everything is, you're going to operate your airplane the same way you do here in the United States. You have to have your airworthiness certificate, your registration, all of that paperwork is exactly the same. The only differences are, our government requires you to have a customs use decal, which is, I think it's $27 or $30. You buy it online from customs. You have to have a radio station license and a restricted restricted radio telephone operator's permit.
FCC.
FCC. And what else do you have to? And you have to do the EAPIS manifest. Now, some of the experimental guys, you're going to have 12-inch numbers on your airplane. Other than that, if you're allowed to fly it in the United States, you're allowed to fly it over there. So there's a lot of this stuff about, all this stuff I got to have. Got to have most of it already.
All right, I've actually signed up on EAPIS, and it's not that hard. It's online, EAPIS. Government is for actually getting into and out of the country. You do have to have a passport to fly in and out. Well, actually, you have to have a passport to fly back. Other than that, I can just come in here. I've got to make sure I go to a port of entry, correct?
That's correct.
And there's more than one.
Yeah, there are more than a dozen ports of entry in the Bahamas, and there's about 8 of them scattered up and down the east coast of Florida. And there are some places you can get an overfly permit to go and land, for example, at Orlando. The EAPIS thing is really a service that helps everybody. It makes everybody's job a little bit easier. You file your passenger manifest online from the comfort of your own home, and it takes a little bit getting used to, but once you figure it out, it works pretty quickly. But when you get to customs, you're in and out. You arrive, you've got your bags, you got your passport, you types in your tail number, and he's got everything right in front of him.
Right. Just to let you know, I haven't busted that bubble yet. I haven't done it, but I had a trip planned. It's so simple. A friend of mine was going to go with me. I got his information. Basically, like Mike said, I typed the information, including his passport number, all that kind of stuff in. If I use him again, if we get ready to go, the online service will actually just throw him back in there real quick. I won't even have to type it in a second time. So, Mike, it sounds like it's simple. Why wouldn't I want to do it? Clear blue water?
It's a beautiful place to fly. It's smooth as glass in the middle of the day. Typically, because of the Gulf Stream here, is that typically the water's at about 80 degrees, 85 degrees, depending on the time of year. What we get there are cumulus, scattered to broken layer of cumulus, bases 1,500 to 2,000 feet with tops not above 5. So you're flying over these popcorn cumulus with the beautiful changing of colors of the water. It really, that first few minutes, if you're not used to flying over water, you're definitely gonna, be a little bit nervous about it. But as soon as you see the islands and the turquoise water and those beautiful puffy clouds and that smooth ride, that all goes right away.
One thing I'm wondering about too is while we're flying over there, we know it's a short trip over water, but there are rules. Mike, you want to explain a little bit to us about the life vest rules that you have and where I can go to get some of that stuff?
Okay, you do have to have a life jacket on board for every person. Rafts are not required on private aircraft. If you don't want to buy these life jackets, because maybe you're only going to go one time, although I doubt once you see it, you'll only want to go one time, there are gateway FBOs that are scattered up and down. They're usually located at a port of entry. We have with us here Banyan and Shelter. They have employees that have been trained to answer any questions you might have with the paperwork, and they have life rafts and all kinds of survival gear, life vests that you can rent for your trip.
All right, now we know we're in there, we've got our life vest, we're there, we've already done the port of entry, but now can we fly? Do we have to do the check-in at each airport? Or what if we want to go to some different islands?
Okay, when you arrive at a Bahamian port of entry, you're going to fill out a form like this. It's called the C7A. It's a triplicate form. They're going to stamp one copy and you're going to get it. You keep this in the airplane with you, and this is your cruising permit. Now you can fly all the way through all of these islands in the Bahamas without checking in. It's important to keep this with you so that you can show any officials who might ask that you have checked in.
You have actually already done your port of entry.
That's correct.
And you're free to go. It's great to come in at the big islands. There's a lot of beautiful hotels and places to stay, shops and stuff. There's a lot of sand and fun all along these kind of islands. There's a lot of fun. Beautiful experiences to be had. Boats, sailboats, dive boats.
The best snorkeling in the world is here. This is the Exuma Keys. There are 365 islands in the Exuma chain alone, so you can be on a different, secluded island every day of the year and not be on the same one more.
Just on that one chain. Just on the one chain.
Just in this part right here.
But how do you land? I mean, they can't be airport, can't be 365 airports.
Well, most of the places there have boats that you can rent and guides that'll take you around and show you some of the more interesting places. Actually, there are 6 runways in the Exuma chain alone. There are a lot of runways in the Bahamas, so don't let that be the reason you don't go down here. And you look at these islands on this chart, it doesn't look like very much, but this is the best snorkeling in the world.
Well, now I want to see some beautiful video to get me excited about this. Where's a good place for me to see approaches, flybys, whatever you might have with that beautiful blue water?
Well, we've shot a lot of video we have on our website, breezeraircraftusa.com. You can see all of the Bahama things. We're putting together videos of approaches to all of these small runways now, and we're in the process of still getting more and more of them. Also, the Bahamas.com website has a section for flying, and you click on that, and they also have some videos and information about
well, everybody,
flying.
I want to tell you one warning. If you go, just remember to bring your mask, snorkel, and your beach towel. You're going to have a good time dipping your toes in the sand. It's Milford Shirley for Aircraft Reporters. We're having a lot of fun. We're going to bring you some more stuff, too. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Mike Z. I am a flying ambassador appointed by the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism. My role is to show you just how easy it is to fly to the Bahamas. This short presentation will take you step by step through the formalities. Most light sport aircraft can easily make the trip. It's only 50 miles from South Florida to Bimini, and the longest overwater passage anywhere in the Bahamas is less than 90 miles. Light sport and experimental aircraft are now welcome without prior approval. Operating your aircraft is the same as the U.S. with a few exceptions. U.S. law requires aircraft have 12-inch numbers, a radio and transponder, radio station license, and a customs use decal for international flights. Your radio station license and restricted radio telephone operator's permit can be obtained online at fcc.gov. There is no test for this. Allow a couple of weeks to receive them. The aircraft must have a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol user decal. It may be obtained online at cbp.gov. Again, allow a couple of weeks for delivery. U.S. Customs Service requires that passenger manifests for both inbound and outbound flights be filed online. This is done using the EAFIS system. This checklist will help you navigate the system. Manifests may be filed anywhere from 30 days in advance to at least 1 hour before the flight. They are good for the whole calendar day for the day that they are filed, so don't worry if you're running late. If your flight is delayed to a different date, you must refile online. This process makes everyone's job easier and speeds up clearing in through U.S. Customs. Now the plane is ready, so what about the pilot? Just like in the U.S., you need your pilot's license, medical certificate, and for sport pilots, this is your driver's license. You also need your restricted radio telephone operator's permit and a U.S. passport. Sport pilots need to be qualified for Class D, C, and B airspace, and everyone needs to have good crosswind landing skills. You will need to file an international flight plan. The information is the same as a standard flight plan, except Flight Service wants to know the information about your survival gear on board. The Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ, is a boundary surrounding the United States. It was established after 9/11, and the most important thing you need to know about it is do not squawk 1200 inside it. You must contact ATC at least 15 minutes prior to penetration of the ADIZ. If you are using flight following, you will already have been issued a code. Arriving in the Bahamas, you will need 3 copies of the C-7A and a passenger list. These can be filled out in advance. If you don't have them or are having difficulty, the Bahamian officials or FBO personnel will be happy to assist you if you need it. If you are arriving in Freeport or Nassau, you will also need to fill out an arrival report. While there are no landing fees for non-commercial, single-engine planes less than 6,000 pounds, there may be ramp or facility charges depending on where you go. The last bit of paperwork is the immigration card. You will need 1 per person. These are stamped and carried with you as proof that you cleared in. You will also have a stamped copy of a C-7A that will serve as your cruising permit. This allows you to fly inter-island. You may be asked to show these when landing at islands that have customs facilities. Returning to the U.S. is just the reverse of leaving. You must depart from an AOE in the Bahamas. Today, most AOEs have phones and internet for filing flight plans or changing EAPIS manifest. You must call the customs office at your arrival point with your ETA at least 1 hour before arriving. You will be given a 2-letter confirmation code. Write this down as proof that you called. When departing from Bimini, you must contact Flight Service to activate your flight plan and get a squawk code before penetrating the ADIZ. The boundary of the ADIZ is less than 7 miles west of Bimini. If necessary, circle till you can climb high enough to be able to reach Flight Service on the radio. Do not penetrate the ADIZ squawking 1200. Upon arrival in the U.S., taxi directly to the secure area for customs. Unload the plane and leave the doors open. If you have filled out your U.S. immigration forms in advance, you will have no paperwork to be done in customs. The EAPIS system has handled this already. All you do is tell the agent your tail number, hand over your passports and immigration cards, and declare any goods bought abroad, and you're all set. See you in the Bahamas!